These may appear like sporadic conflicts. They're part of a pattern, fault lines that divide Europe. Freedom of expression versus Islamic sentiment, cultural conflicts, Islamophobia versus radicalism. This weekend, Sweden and Norway burned in anti-Muslim protests. Now, France is on the edge. The problem is bigger than one magazine attack or one violent protest. And to understand it, we must go back in time. Muslims began coming into Europe post the Second World War. Europe did not have a sufficient working population, so laborers from former European colonies were brought in. A large number of Turks migrated to Germany. Britain brought workers from India, Pakistan and Bangladesh. France saw an influx of Algerian and Moroccan immigrants. Many Moroccans moved to Spain as well. A lot of these immigrants were Muslims. These workers were supposed to be temporary visitors, but history had other plans. Today, there are more than 20 million Muslims in Europe. Most of them are second and third generation immigrants. Muslims make up for nearly 6% of the continent's population. This is according to the Pew Research Center. Germany alone is home to 4.76 million Muslims. France has 4.71 million, Britain 2.96 million. The immigration of Muslims has not been coupled with their integration into the European society. 2 to 3 generations later, most of them still live in ghettos, or what are called parallel communities. Most of them do not go to the same schools as other Europeans. They're politically and economically marginalized. The divide is real, and it's deepening. The question is why? Reason number one, blame both extremism and Islamophobia. There's no politically correct way to tell this story, so I'll tell it as it is. Europe has seen a rise in Islamic terror between 2014 and 2016. There were a number of terror attacks inspired by the Islamic State, ISIS. From the Bastille Day attack at Nice in France to the Berlin Christmas market attack, according to Europol, 62 people were killed in jihadist attacks in 2017. In 2018, the number was 13. Last year, it was 10. These incidents painted a negative image of Islam, which quickly snowballed into hate. Muslims were rejected and vilified in Europe. Their religion was lampooned. In 2018, Islamophobic incidents increased by 52% in France. In Austria, by 74%. These numbers translated into votes for the far right. Which brings us to reason number two. Political parties are cashing in on this us versus them divide. European far right parties have built around Islamophobia and are deepening this divide. From Flams Belange in Belgium to Sweden Democrats, parties are gaining electorally by spewing hate. Centre-right political leaders are not shy of attacking the Muslim immigrants. German Chancellor Angela Merkel warned against Islamic terrorism. France, under Emmanuel Macron, has banned Muslim veils in public spaces. Face coverings have also been banned in parts of Denmark and Belgium. European leaders often highlight the difference in the cultural and social values between Muslims and Christians. The memoir of former Chancellor of West Germany, Helmut Schmidt, was published in the year 2004. He said he regretted allowing Muslim immigrants into Germany. He wrote, and I quote, "Muslims and Christians cannot coexist except in despotic countries like Singapore." 44% of Germans see a quote-unquote fundamental contradiction between Islam and German culture and values. In Finland, the number is 62%. In Italy, it becomes 53%. Reason number three, the economic crisis. The immigrants are projected as job stealers. Driving home this point is the demographic divide. Most of the immigrant Muslims are middle-aged. The age of an average Christian European, on the other hand, is 42. Muslims are also seen as the rising minority in Europe. Some estimates say Muslims make up about 20% of the European population by 2050. Contributing to the deepening divide is also the lack of proper integration policies. In France, for example, everyone is expected to adopt the French secular culture, French values, the French language. It leaves no scope for pluralism or for the migrants to preserve their identity. In Germany, you have the so-called culture Muslims, which is basically a Muslim who has abandoned his or her identity in exchange for the European identity. Integration policies like these crush every scope of coexistence. They highlight the religious differences. They end up contributing to the deepening divide. As for the immigrants, they too need to abide by the law of the land they live in. The law of Sharia cannot overshadow the sovereign laws. Coexistence is a two-way street.